Alright, so right now we're in the mock-up process. I found a muffler plate that came off of another model of MTD style that I should be able to put here to get that muffler routed back down where it really ought to be and get it out of everybody's face. Now we've got the base plate on here, and what we did was we took a seat and we cut the center of the seat out, as you can see right here. And the reason we had to do that was to get it around the fan and be able to have airflow. And on that side and on that side, we'll probably put some wire mesh or something so that we can't accidentally get a seatbelt or something in it. But for now, that'll bring the fan around, as you can see there. And what John is mocking up now is we're going to take this, we're going to go and put a universal joint in here to bring this up where it's in a more comfortable area for him. I couldn't let the nice, perfect little chair sit there and be unused, so I made a couple of little straps here. This is a Murray seat. These things probably will be here when we're gone. And now I've got the perfect little padded shop chair. The end. We've taken a bunch of measurements. We've figured out that the lip of the front of the seat to here is what's comfortable for John at his current size. We've also figured out that right about in here, foot there, is where John wants his throttle. And when you consider that right there is where the brake and throttle were before, that shows how much we're going to have to customize. The other thing is, if you've ever seen a cheap kids ATV, the brake for them is an underside lever that comes over, and then you pick up your foot and you stomp it down like this to set off the brakes, which is what I think we're going to do with this. I think what we're going to do is take the arm it's on, we're going to relocate it so it runs underneath here so that all John has to do is curb stomp it, and that will go into reverse. Anything else?
I don't know.
Oh, and we're going to change out these tires. We're going to swap these onto it. These are just regular, standard, good old-fashioned Trail Wolves. There's nothing special about these. They're the most generic front ATV tire probably in existence. And, oh, a lot of you are going to say, why didn't you just take and slice this out in order to make the transmission tunnel? And the reason being is because I wanted this top to be as close to the fan as possible, and this is extremely flimsy steel. I mean, you can bend most of it with your thumb and finger. So I wanted something over the top of the fan that if it got impacted, if somebody accidentally kicked it, getting onto the machine or something like that, it wasn't going to move. So that's why that is like that. What we'll be doing is, John, can you jump off? Jump!
I'm trying not have the ones that think collapse.
Okay. So, let's grab this off. Alright. So, what we will probably do is set something in here that we can bolt to so that that can't move, and then that can't move. I've got to weld in something on both of those because where the grommet goes is rotted out. But there's a general gist of the situation. So the transmission pan that is in the rider stock is right up here. This is lowered down to as far as it'll go. So we gained lowering John about 3 inches by doing this. All right, we're going to get some more done and then we'll be back.
Yep.
All right, so John's got the seat. And basically, there's nothing really new about this design. This is what just about every late 90s kid did in order to fix their go-kart when the go-kart seat rotted out. So on the side of these seats, we've got a hole here and a hole here. And we've got adjustment rails here. And this side here with these big notches lines up. And what we did was we welded this on. Then we set the seat on with the brackets on. We tack welded either end. And then pulled it off. And then finish welded down through, including one there on each side. So if John sets the seat in, you can now set it in and you can adjust it back and forth where it needs to be. And now he can sit on it and it's fully adjustable. So that seat will now move all the way back through quite a ways. John, if you get up just a sec. So we've got an adjustment hole here, which means we can move it clear back to here now. Go ahead and sit, John. Giving him a solid amount of growing space, right, John? Alright, so at this point, we'll get this screwed in so it's totally solid. We've got the underside here reinforced. Whoop. Alright, get back off. Let me switch you guys to up close. So underneath here, we've gone in with the welder, and we've just taken a piece here and welded it across so that that can't end up smashed in. So we've got our transmission tunnel all set. Now from here, we need to work on the steering column and getting that associated, because there's no sense in me rewiring the motor if I don't have a steering column to put all the ignition stuff on. Well, after a very expensive trip to Tractor Supply to buy some tube, this is standard hardware store 3/4 inch tube, and this is our steering shaft, which turns out to be exactly 5/8, and that will now slip down onto that shaft. What we've also got here is just a piece of cast iron pipe. We've got a wheel bearing for 5/8 in, and that's going to let us tack weld that right around there in order to create a barrel bearing in there. And what we're going to do at this point is we're going to take this spot here, because it exists on both sides, and we're going to cut it. Then we're going to cut a triangle like this, and we're going to cut off the steering shaft, bend the whole entire thing down so that the steering shaft is at the angle we want, put the coupler in, the universal joint. So the universal joint's going to go right in here with this in line with the bend. And then that should have the steering column where we need it, so we can start figuring out where we want the electrical panel. What are you eating? Candy corn? Mm-hmm. Now you're going to start the classic controversy of whether candy corn is good or bad.
It's good.
It's good?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, comment down below. Do you believe candy corn is actually good or horrible? Alright, so back to the real video. These are 19-inch Trail Wolves that we're going to be putting on here. And they're on GT6000 rims, which fit on this because they're both 3/4 inch shafts. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make a couple of spacers that go into the end, as you can see there. So we're going to space that. What I haven't quite decided is whether I should space it towards out a little or leave it all the way in. I think at this point, for the ease of getting it done, I'm just going to have it all the way in. And then if I need to later, I'll just swap the spacer from one side to the other. So that's no big deal. So there's that, and there's that to see the difference in the snowblower tires. And we got lucky. on the spindles not being destroyed, because these are engagement, so you can engage into them on either side on the large snowblower, and they had brass bushings that were pressed in. So luckily they didn't destroy the spindles, so we don't have to swap over the spare axle that I have, so that can just stay a spare for when inevitably somebody breaks something. And so we're going to get that done. I'm going to get that PTO shaft out of there, flip the exhaust down, cut off this so that we can start working on squaring it up. That'll be in a different video, because that's all piddly stuff that nobody really cares about. And we'll probably call that good for this week.
Okay.
Hi. Can you say bye-bye?